Oral questions by members.
Leader of the Official Opposition.
The numbers are staggering. As many as 80 residents, more than 20 staff, and at least 10 deaths as a result of COVID. And that's just at Willingdon Care Centre. It only has 95 beds. Vulnerable seniors in long-term care were supposed to be getting their booster shots starting weeks ago. But when it comes to implementation, this Premier rolls out the plan and then fails to deliver. What we're seeing is a slow, overly bureaucratic, uncoordinated rollout, a patchwork across health authorities. And you can imagine my shock when in a Fraser Health document, it was confirmed a timeline for when booster shots may take place. I quote, "We expect that all eligible residents and tenants will be offered a third dose by mid-December," end quote. That is simply unacceptable, and the Premier knows it. Outbreaks and tragedies are mounting across the province, including at Willingdon Care Centre in Burnaby. Mid-December is not good enough for frail elderly British Columbians. Our seniors need protection, and they need it now. So will the Premier get up today and assure British Columbians and their families that frail elderly British Columbians will receive their booster shot immediately, not by mid-December?
Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. As the member will know, a number of British Columbians have started to get booster shots since the middle of September, based on the recommendation from the National Advisory Committee on Immunization. On September 13th, we started to immunize the extremely vulnerable. There are about 15,000 people in that category. On September the 28th, the day that the National Advisory Committee on Immunization recommended that we proceed in long-term care, we started the process of immunizing people in long-term care. The standard is 6 months after second dose, which is, I think, where the member gets the information from. That immunization will be completed long before the middle of December. So far, about 62 care homes across all health authorities have been immunized with a third dose, a booster dose, and 60,000 British Columbians have received either a dose to complete their course, their original course, in the case of the extremely immunocompromised, 60,000, or in the second category of moderately immunocompromised, and the third category in long-term care. That's 60,000, in addition, Honourable Speaker, to the 4.133 million British Columbians who, of course, have received their first dose of a COVID-19 vaccine.
Leader of the Official Opposition, supplemental question.
Well, thank you very much to the Minister. Those words are cold comfort for families who are deeply concerned about their frail elderly loved one who may have to sit in long-term care, not my words, Fraser Health Authority's words, and wait for their booster shot. And in fact, we know that the majority of residents in long-term care and assisted living received their second dose in February. So the wait is too long, and the Minister knows it. And the Minister can reference NACI all he wants. Let's look at what this note from Fraser Health actually says. The National Advisory Committee on Immunization warns that delaying the third dose will increase the period during which individuals may have reduced protection. Reduced protection. So perhaps the Premier can get up and answer the question. Let's look at Saskatchewan. They started their booster shots on September 7th. Alberta started on September the 1st. Ontario started in August, and they have provided third doses to 96% of long-term care residents. And what do we find here in British Columbia? A message that says, actually, you might have to wait until mid-December. This is not a supply issue. We know that. The government has the supply necessary. It is a failure to organize the rollout. So let's be clear. Frail elderly British Columbians need and deserve protection. Will the Premier stand up today and commit that frail elderly residents in long-term care and assisted living will receive their booster shots immediately. It is all hands on deck. Time is of the essence.
Minister of Health.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I agree it is a priority for all those in long-term care and assisted living to receive a booster shot of a COVID-19 vaccine. And that's precisely what we're working to do. 62 care homes already and more every day. We're working systematically through the care homes. Those are not the only people who require a booster dose, as the member will know. Our extremely immunocompromised population, it was recommended on September 13th, I believe, we proceeded, and the vast majority of them have already received their dose, that 15,000 people. Over 60,000 people have received booster dose of a COVID-19 vaccine, and as the member also knows, with respect to many of the innovations that have been done to protect long-term care in BC, from the single-site order to the 5,000 workers that have been hired to supplement people in long-term care. British Columbia, I believe, with Quebec, was the first jurisdiction to implement mandatory vaccination of all staff in long-term care homes as of October the 12th.
Peace River South.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And with all due respect to the minister, if it's such a priority, why will it take to December to help these vulnerable people? We all know many vulnerable British Columbians started receiving their second dose at the beginning of the year. That was well over 6 months ago. So protection is waning. Seniors, vulnerable seniors, are worried, and rightfully so. They're waiting on this government, and they're not getting a clear message on how they will be protected to get these much-needed boosters. The BC care providers have been calling on seniors to receive this booster shot since the beginning of September, over almost 2 months ago. And I quote from them, "We all knew this was coming. We all knew the need was coming. We were caught flat-footed," end quote. So to the Premier, to his government, why were they caught flat-footed? Why can they not just implement this now for the seniors that need it?
Minister of Health.
Honourable Speaker, as I said in the answer to the first question, Honourable Speaker, people across the long-term care sector, across long-term care and assisted living, will receive their booster dose well in advance of December. So that is not correct, and that is not the situation that we're facing. To date, 62 care homes have been immunized in this effort. In addition, Honourable Speaker, well, I just say I was asked questions directly, and I'm answering those questions directly. They will be done before then. That is what I'm saying. And, well, Honourable Speaker, people in care homes across British Columbia know that they have the protection that every worker in a care home now is vaccinated. That is not without its challenges, as all members of the House know. That's why BC was first to do that, first to do single site, has provided extraordinary resources in long-term care, and as the Seniors Advocate report stated, has, I think, compared to the other equivalent jurisdictions in the country, the best record of protecting seniors. There is urgency in this. Well, Honourable Speaker, this is not, I would say to the House Leader of the Opposition, a laughing matter. It's not a laughing matter for me. It's not a laughing matter for anybody. I say to you, we take it extraordinarily seriously, and that's why the people at Immunization BC, who put on, I think, what is on record the largest immunization program in the history of the province, with, I think, enormous skill and dedication, are applying themselves to this task with that same skill and that same dedication.
Peace River South, a supplemental question.
Well, the minister is correct. It's not a laughing matter, but for this government, it seems to be a confusing matter. The minister and this government need to get on the same page as the health authorities, because the problem is everybody is getting a different message. No wonder people are confused. No wonder seniors and family members in this province are worried. And frankly, this government lost the public's trust on this issue after burying the Ernst & Young report with their response to deaths in long-term care. Frankly, people don't trust the message that's coming from this government because it's always changing and never the same. There's a tragedy unfolding right now, as we've been talking about in the Willington Care Centre, where at least 10 deaths have been reported so far. 10 people have died. Those are families affected. These are people that we're talking about, not just deaths. These are people. The head of the BC Care Provider says, and I quote, "If the residents there had had their booster when Alberta and Ontario were giving out their boosters, it's highly probable this would not have happened. We're heartsick because we've been asking the Ministry of Health about boosters since the 1st of September, end quote. So to the Premier, why, again, can we not do this now? Why are they failing the seniors around the province and specifically now at the Willington Care Centre?
Minister of Health.
Honourable Speaker, I think members will know that obviously COVID-19 is devastating in long-term care. It's why from March of 2020, our government has led on this question. Our public health officer has led on this question. Why we've had, I think, compared to other jurisdictions, including the jurisdictions that have been used as examples here in this House, the best record in responding. And that doesn't mean, Honourable Speaker, that there hasn't been extraordinary loss, an extraordinary tragedy that everyone involved feels every single day. It's why we put in place a single site order to protect people in long-term care. Why we ensured before all those jurisdictions that were mentioned here that long-term care, contracted long-term care homes had access to PPE. And it's why we're ensuring today that everyone will be vaccinated, everyone in long-term care and assisted living. That priority and that announcement was made and initiated the day the NACI made the recommendation, the day, and 62 care homes have been already received that vaccination and more to come every day. It is a high priority for obvious reasons, and we're going to continue to work with the same diligence that Dr. Penny Ballum and Dr. Bonnie Henry, our leaders in this effort, have put in from the beginning to ensure that everyone gets the protection they need from COVID-19.
Member for Saanich North and Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, I'm hoping to better understand this government's perspective on housing. Through you to the Minister, does this government consider housing to be a human right?
Attorney General and Minister responsible for housing.
Well, thank you, Honourable Chair. I think there's been quite a dramatic shift in government's philosophy around housing since our CASA agreement with the Green Party that brought the NDP into government in 2017. Now, that shift was a shift from seeing housing as purely a market-driven commodity to seeing housing as a human right. And that shows up in a number of aspects of our work, from our response to encampments to the speculation tax, which says if you're holding housing empty, you should pay more because that is costing the system more. These are really important principles. We stand by them, and I thank the member for the question.
Member for Saanich North and Islands, supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And as I think everybody in this House knows, we have been languishing in a housing crisis since the 2017 election. And this morning when I opened